Hi and welcome. This is another part of the video I made. I'm in a group called Mini Album Swap Some More, and we are doing a page swap. So I did a video on the original page on how to just make the basic page constructions. And since I've been asked how and when do I add my folds, my flaps, and pockets. So I just wanted to show you before I start decorating. I go through and I make just the basic page, very similar, just like I show in the other video. And then to get my pages to this point where all the flaps, pockets, and openings are. This is a large book, so it's hard to see. I apologize. So this is the question I was asked. When do I add on all of these pockets, all these flaps, and all the different, it's the tag, all these different items that I put to my albums. And this is how I do it. And I'm sure that it's probably the way 90% of the crafters do it. It just depends on, on your style. I start by making the base page, and then I go through and I add on my folds and flaps. I even add on my magnets. From past experience, if I don't add them on now, I have put down the paper and then I forget. So then that's going to be a little thing I'm doing. So here's the flap. So as you can see, I make all my pages first. I add all my flaps. And then I go back and I decorate my pages. I even decorate them before I put them into my book. Everything wants to stick together. So I usually do my pages, and I will make my cover. Actually, this is a prototype cover because Brenda Crouch and I, another crafter, we're working on a different album design with a different closure. And so I don't even make my covers usually till last, because I've had instances when I've added another page, or just something in the design of my album has changed. So I don't like to make the covers until my pages are complete. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you how to attach and when to attach your pocket and a flap. I'm just using cardstock. This hasn't been made into the page because I don't want to make a page just, for our video. But I'm going to show you as if this is a page. And I'm going to start with a pocket. So I cut my pocket 1 inch bigger than the page, and then you just decide how wide you want your pocket to be, and you add on a 1/2 inch because you have to allow that 1/2 inch for scoring. So we're going to go ahead and set our page aside. Let me move this, and I'm going to go ahead and score for the pocket. So on a pocket, you always want to score 1/2 inch on 3 sides. And sometimes I will do all 4 if I need a really clean finished edge. So if you accidentally score all 4 edges, don't worry. It's not a loss. So now what I do, I go ahead and I like to crease the paper. And this is the fun part of making your albums. This is when you get to be the designer of your craft. And I like to use score tape. I use 3/8. I only use score tape in my albums. Once in a blue moon, I'll use glue if I have to get into a really tight corner. I even map my pages using 1/4 and 1/8 inch score tape. I don't like my albums to come apart. I don't like the paper to wrinkle. And so I found score tape is actually cheaper in the long run because you're not buying a bunch of different adhesives. So now I go ahead and cut my corners. Again, this is pretty standard what you'll see crafters do in all the videos. And as you get to make more albums and you're experimenting, you too will come up with your own way of designing and making your album. So I go ahead and I remove my score tape when I'm doing pockets. And you want to line it up with that edge. And then just encourage those folds down so that you have a nice flat pocket. Now on your pocket, when you go to mat your page, I always measure. I take my whatever you use to measure, and I measure down about 1 inch into the pocket. There's really no reason that you need to go all the way in. And then I cut my paper 1/8 to 1/4 inch shorter than the width. So I would cut my, for instance, my matting paper would be 5 7/8, probably by, let me go in about 1 inch, 1.5 inches, by 4.5. And then you're able to slide your paper in, but I want to show you a trick on that. So let me grab a piece of paper. Sorry, I should have had this out. Actually, this will be perfect. Let me grab one of the a 6 by 6. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down. So I've now cut this down to 5 7/8 by 4.5, and I would go ahead and ink these edges, and as you can see, it will slide in there very nicely, and then you'll have a border around the edge. Now when I'm matting my pocket, if you're using a wet adhesive, of course you have more play, so you can actually move it around. When I'm doing it with score tape, I don't put score tape on all 4 edges. I only do it on 3. It has made it simpler to slide my paper down in, and it doesn't get stuck. And I have to turn it to the side. Then I just lift up my pocket to help it out. I start on one edge. Make sure things, now this is a little off, so and there you have it matted. Now another way that you can do your pockets, and I'm going to take a smaller piece here and I'm going to score it. Now this is another way. If you like to have more of, well, not having to slide it down in, you can take your designer paper and wrap it. Okay. Let me just grab a little piece of score tape. This is just a mock. There we go. So you can also wrap it, and then I would go ahead. Of course, I would measure. This would be much better. So you can go ahead and wrap it that way. Okay, and then you would lay this piece completely down if that's easier for you. You want to make sure, of course, you know, you've got space to go in here as a pocket, and so you can also wrap it. That's another option that you can do. Now for a flap, so you want to make a flap that maybe comes up or a flap that goes down. You can even make your sideways flaps. Again, you'll want to have a piece of paper, and I make it just a tiny hair shorter than my base page. And then what we're going to do is we're going to score 1/2 inch because we need that flap. And for the video, I'm going to go ahead and just put my page down. And I want to show you 2 different ways. Now, you can wrap this to the back. Okay, you can wrap your flap to the back if you would like. I usually put them right on the front. Choice is yours. So I can go to the side and I can go to the bottom. You can put these anywhere you like. But if you can't put them down after you've matted your page, otherwise you won't be able to hide your flap. So now I'm just going to miter the corners just a tiny bit. It helps it hide underneath your matting much nicer. I'm going to go ahead and, this is how I do it. Like I said, everybody has their own way. I have a hard time getting things straight, so I like to just start my score tape. I don't like to completely remove it. It makes it easier if I have to remove a corner than this whole piece. So I get that started. I make sure everything's lined up, and then with my thumb, I just follow my score tape, and I have a flap. That makes it perfectly straight. Now I can hide. So when I go to mat my page, when I cut my paper 1/8 of an inch shorter, that will be hidden. Now you can also add a pocket. You can add a pocket right here just like we did. And again, you mat everything after you put your accessories on. And then you might want to take your magnets if you're going to use a magnet. These particular ones I'm using right now do not have score tape on the back, so I add it. But I thought I'd try some different magnets to see about bringing them into the store. But these things break, believe it or not. They tend to crumble. It's really odd. I've had them break in half. So then I just push that down, bring my page open, and then while I'm just working on my album, I go ahead and put a piece of score tape right over the top so that they adhere nice. Then when you mat your piece of paper, go ahead and take that off, and you'll mat it, and then you'll have a nice closure. So I hope that this cleared up any questions. If you have any more, you can find me on the Mini Album Swap page if you're a member, or you can go ahead and just leave me a message and I'll answer it really quick, I promise. So I hope that helped, and enjoy making your pages.